Welcome, sewing and knitting community. This is Cheryl with Bluegrass Dreams to Seams. This is my second video and I am rested and energized. I have tried probably 15 times to shoot this, and I kept trying to do it at night after I'd kind of relaxed a little bit from subbing, and it just wasn't working. I was tired, and you just can't shoot a video when you're tired. So this morning I got up and I've gotten ready, and I said, we're going to do this thing and we're going to be energized. So here we go. First off, before we get into the theme of today's project, which is a project bag, I want to say a few thank yous. One of those to Jen from Jen Today in Jen's Sewing Room. I reached out to her through Instagram, I believe, and she recommended a few videos for me to watch that might help me. I was able to create my thumbnail, thankfully, with the help of my daughter. The second thank you to Ashley for helping me create my thumbnail for the first video I posted, and plus this video. We've been having to send pictures back and forth, and I've been creating thumbnails, and I think I finally have figured out how to do this, but I can't blank out background, and she can on her phone. So she does that for me as I send pictures, and then we send photos back and forth. It's just a big process. I don't know what I'd do without her. She's been wonderful. So big thank you to those two people, Jen and Ashley. Now then, I've decided that everybody when I say see my project bag, they have just loved it. I've been out in public a few times with it, and they just absolutely love it. I did post a picture on Instagram there with it, several pictures of the front and back and sides. And so the bag is this really cute dog print that I had in my stash. I also had the stripe in my stash. Now I can't talk. And the pattern I found on Pinterest, and I had saved it, and I pulled it back up, and it's actually a blog. I will link in the description box where you can find it, and it is in a different language, but there was a drawing that had the centimeter measurements, so that helped me with the main part of the bag, but not the pockets. There was nothing to tell me what size these pockets were, but there are very, very good pictures of this bag, so you can kind of guesstimate what the pocket size should be. But anyway, quick look around. I had this paw print ribbon in my stash, so I put that on one pocket, well actually on each side, and just one bigger pocket in the front, and again another small one. All I did to this side of the bag was I have the bigger pocket and a divided smaller pocket. It's not quite in the middle because I did not want my line of stitching going across a dog nose. So I chose to try to put it right in between them. And you know what? Who cares? I don't. It's my bag. So anyway, to practice with this binding method that I wanted to use, actually to practice with the fabric, I made a triangular bag, which you can go on Pinterest and you put in triangular small pouch, and it will pop up all sorts of resources. Some of them are free and some are not, but they're pretty easy to make. I think I made mine in about 10 minutes. I keep my stitch markers in it, and I chose to cut mine, best I remember was 8.5 by 4.5, something like that. I did rectangular pieces, one of canvas and one of the lining, sewed them together, put my zipper in, and stitched top and bottom. Just made it really simple. The other one I paid a little more detail to. This is called the Easy Flat Zipper Pouch, and I will link this also below. The lady does a really, really good video, instructional video of putting this together. I had to, of course, watch it 2 or 3 times, but someone who's experienced bag maker probably could get it with one view, but you know, I'm not an experienced bag maker by any means. This binding that she did, I just loved it because it's a 2-inch wide strip and she folds it in half, and you can seal your raw edges within the way, because this is actually the finished folded edge that's on the back. So everything's concealed within really easily. It's tricky on the corners, but if you watch her video and you do exactly what she says to do, you can get this to lay down really good. Now this is hand stitched in place on the back. I didn't do that on my bigger bag, but I did do it on this small one. So I used some cottons that look like knitted stitches for my accent pieces, as well as the inside of the bag. So the only thing, I didn't put a pocket of any kind inside. Everything's small that's in here, all my small knitting tools. So I didn't feel like it was really necessary to have an inside bag of any kind. Now then, as far as my bigger bag, this, I do wish I had put a inside pocket. So the one I do for sewing will have an inside pocket, and I've given it quite a bit of thought. I know I want a zipper in it, and I've thought that through, and I know I want one of the sides to have an inside pocket where I can stick my shears, my cutting scissors, because my ASG group, or American Sewing Guild group that gets together, I need a bag that I can carry tools back and forth, the fabric. We do a lot of sizing, measuring, and getting our pattern correct. So I feel like I need to have a good bag to take all those things in. I can grab it, I can get it all put together the night before, and I can, I have everything with me. I don't miss anything. The front pockets will still hold patterns and or books, anything I feel like I might need, just like this bag does. Now, I've wanted to try to teach this because I'm a retired teacher, and I felt like, oh, if I could just have a dry erase board behind me, it's magnetized. Well, guess what? I bought one that I can't put magnets on it. So again, I've written everything out nice and neat. I will take pictures of it, and I'll probably overlay it, or I don't know how I'm going to do this. But anyway, I will insert pictures either within the video if I can figure out how to do that, or I'll insert pictures at the end of the video. And I'm learning. I'm getting there. I promise I'm getting there. The project bag itself, like I said, it's a blog, and I did find it on Pinterest, and it is in a different language, but there is one diagram in there that had centimeters, and a really nice diagram. I just kind of drew it right here. This is a sketchbook, but I use it to document. It's kind of like my sewing journal, and we'll talk about that at another time. I've already had someone request, do something on your sewing journal, show people how to do it. And there's some things I need to look up, and probably some fabric samples I need to put in here, if I even still have the fabric. Just when I started sewing again after I retired, I started this journal, and some of my favorite things are in here, and some of the things I didn't really like. Usually it's because of the fabric. I bought fabric it didn't perform well. Yes, it was a good price, but you get what you pay for. It's really, really true. So anyway, back to this bag and my journal. I have written everything out, and I'll take pictures of this. But for right now, in the blog, you will see where the sides, the two long sides of the bag, are 28 centimeters by 14 centimeters. Now, what I did is I went to my little calculator on my phone, and I converted it all. And it's about 11.2 inches by 5.51 inches. Now, I don't want to have to deal with any decimals, at least not big, little tiny decimals. I don't want to figure out what that 2/10 of an inch really is. So I just rounded that off, and I said, you know what? Mine's 11 inches by 6 inches. It'll work out fine. It's a bag. So I had to cut 11.5 by 6.5 because you have 1/4 inch seams. So my finished size is 11 by 6, but my cut size is 11.5 by 6.5. Now the bottom was 23.5 centimeters by 14 centimeters. And when I converted that and rounded the way I wanted to, I did a 9-inch by 6-inch. So I cut it 9.5 by 6.5 inches. The front and back is, in the picture on the blog, was 28 centimeters by 23.5 centimeters. I ended up cutting mine 11.5 by 9.5 inches. Everything went together just fine. I had to just remember 1/4 inch seams. So that's where that 1/2 inch comes in, that extra 1/2 inch. Now the project bag, you have to guesstimate about these pockets. And by looking at the pictures, which it has wonderful pictures, you kind of get a feel for what you might even want to put in the pockets, because he photographed, or whoever photographed this with items in the pockets. So you see these rulers sticking out, and you see, I think one of them had long knitting needles, the straight knitting needles in there. I don't knit with straights very often, so I don't really take those with me. Now, if I had put an inside pocket inside my knitting bag, I most likely would have had a place to put my kits of needles. And what I mean is I've invested in some Chi-Goo interchangeable kits. I have some really, really small ones for children's knits, and I have the longer ones for adult knits sometimes I like to have those with me, because when I'm knitting a sweater like the one I've got on, your ribbing is one size of needle and your body is another size of a needle. So say my ribbing is knitted on a 6, and then I get to the body, I've got to have a 7 or whatever it recommends. I need to be able to, change that needle tip out. So I would want to have that bag with me if I was really, really close and I'm knitting with friends in my group. Like Thursday nights, we knit together at a restaurant that has agreed to let us be there for a few hours and tie up a table. So, during the pandemic, of course, we couldn't meet at all, and we started Zoom knitting because we missed each other so much. We have a great time, we laugh, and we share concerns, and, our projects, of course, and we just have a really, really good time, and it's just nice to kick back with friends, isn't it? So I also belong to American Sewing Group here, neighborhood group. We're connected with the Nashville bigger group, and we get together every other month to work on projects. So we have 6 projects that we've documented for the year. One of these projects is going to take probably the whole year to do it, actually, but we'll work a little bit on it each meeting. Some meetings are focused more on the project than other things, but we also do projects that help the community or another organization, such as the tornado victims. There are being different groups are meeting to make quilts and things like that for these tornado victims. So that's one project that's going on right now. But anyway, for pockets, what I ended up doing is I cut side pockets 6.5 by 6.5. So I had to have 2 canvas, 2 lining, and 4 interfacings. Now I used a medium weight interfacing for my pockets. You could cut a 4.5 by 6.5 smaller pocket to go below that one if you wanted to double, like I did on my front of my bag. I have these 2 pockets. You could have 2 pockets here, one smaller, one larger. I didn't choose to do that, but you could do it if you wanted to. My larger pockets on the front, the taller ones, are cut 9.5 by 9.5. Again, 2 canvas, 2 lining, and 4 interfacing. My smaller divided pocket is a 6.5 by 9.5. I only need 1 canvas, 1 lining, 2 interfacings. Everything got interfaced on the pockets, the lining and the canvas. Excuse me. I prepped all those pieces before I even began, which is what I'll do in the next video. We'll do all the cutting, all the prepping work. I'll show you how I did all that. It is possible to sew, if you did not want to bind the tops, like I did here, bind it right here. If you didn't want to do that, you could sew right sides together, flip that over, just like you do for some of your general sewing that you might do for a shirt or whatever, and fold that lining over. I really like to have the accent binding trim, so I'm going to keep that even on my second bag. Unless, of course, it seems like it's just a little busy, then I might not. But anyway, the binding strips are 2 inches wide. I think I cut about 45 inches for this larger bag. I'm not really sure. But I think 45, 50, somewhere in there, 50 inches maybe would get it. You might have a little bit left over. And if you choose to put ribbon on it, you'll need some ribbon for the accent of the bag. Now, I don't think I've talked about this. Because my stitching wasn't perfect right there, I decided to cover that up, and I went and bought this. I had to buy the lining and the ribbon and the webbing. That's all I had to have for this bag. I had everything else in my stash, and that's kind of gotten to be my motto here lately. What do you have? What can you make out of it? And what do you got to buy just to be able to finish it? Hopefully nothing, but I've hit button stash for garments and found that, hey, I actually have something in my stash. I can make this entire thing and not have to go out and buy anything. It's wonderful. I thought, I've got these little bits. I want to make something. I can make a bag. And so I decided I need a knitting bag. That's what I'm going to do. But this ribbon is covering the stitching I wasn't happy with. And I just did webbing and the ribbon, and it's like glued on, Perfect. Works for me. Okay, so the things that you'll need. 2 different canvases. Now for my sewing bag, I have a really pretty print that was in my stash again. And I'm going to use a solid with it because there's a lot of color going on in my sewing print that I'm going to use. So I thought I'll just get a canvas solid. If I don't have enough, which I'm pretty sure I don't with the one I found, I'm going to have to buy that one already, and I'll have to buy the nylon webbing for the handles. The lining and the trim, the bias or binding trim, I just use cotton fabric, and I like to have at least 2 or 3 of those just to kind of mix it up a little bit, but they're, going to complement each other. The ones on my knitting bag are all knitting themed except for the inside, and it's a small tonal paisley, all in purples, different shades of purples. And the ribbon just happened to match it pretty well. So, there you go. Got it all put together. My trim, like I said, there's 2-inch wide strips. You could cut that on the bias. I cut it on the straight and it did fine. Ribbon for the outside, like my dog print, that is optional. I probably won't do that to the sewing bag. I might put some on the inside, but I probably won't do that on the outside of this because the print has got a lot going on already. Interfacing, I used medium weight interfacing, and threads, I did use 1 contrasting thread and 1 matching thread, and again 2 yards of the webbing. That's what you need. Now the next time we get together, I will show you again how I cut all that out and did the interfacing. We'll just do all the prep work. And then hopefully the 3rd video, I can video me actually sewing some of these sections together, and I might actually put a couple short videos together. That might get a little interesting, huh? Yes, for me anyway. Anyway, what I have on today is my Oldies sweater. I knitted this probably 2 years ago. The girl that I got the yarn from was a dyer in Nashville called Nutmeg Fibers. She's no longer doing yarn, but the pattern calls for DK weight or sport weight yarn. And I think I used a DK weight, although it is thick thin. What really attracted me to it was the way the ribbon is done. I think there's 3 rows of stitches there. Then you got these purl, but you've got these 4, right there you can see 4 yarns that are carried over across. And I just thought that was so cool. And I'll link that below too. It's a quick knit. I think I made this probably in 3 weeks, maybe a little less, because you know DK weight yarn does knit up fast. Let's just face it, it does. I love making sweaters. Not real happy with my neckline. I play with that. Probably could have knitted a little bit smaller, but I was wearing it over a shirt and I thought, you know, it's a little bit boxy style. And I did add 2 inches of length because it was supposed to be to the waist, and I don't wear anything to the waist anymore. I like things to be down on my hips at least. So I did add 2 inches to the length of this, but that's easily done. And so this is going to be a wrap on this video, and I am going to post it probably sometime tomorrow. I will try to play around with some editing, and we will see how this goes. So you all have a great day. Thank you.